And now, your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
All right, Jeff, I might have fucked up the cold open, but I'm not going to fuck up the show. I stumbled a couple times. I don't like stumbling. I don't like stumbles, man. I like when it sounds clean, clean, clean. The opposite of clean is dirty. And a lot of people feel that WWE is doing them dirty right now, Jeff. Real dirty. The price hikes are no joke. Yeah. Attendance is down. Some reports suggest 5,000 fewer fans on recent SmackDown shows compared to prior stops. If you don't know, 5,000 is a big number. That's not good. Ticket prices are turning into a bit of a barrier, especially for WrestleMania. The get-in tickets are absurdly expensive. WWE just announced WrestleMania 42. That's in 2026. The pricing is going to range from about $854 for upper levels to almost $10,000 for ringside floor seats. You'd think this was a Mike Tyson fight in 1987. It's not. The general average ticket price for WrestleMania in 2025 is being cited at about $1,200. So that's going to be up 140% over the last 10 years. I'm all for companies making money, and I'm all for prices rising as values rise over the years. But TKO, and we're going to kind of dive deep into this, Jeff, but I want to get your point of view before I kind of throw a monkey in the wrench here. TKO bought this to make money, not because they like wrestling, not to advance wrestling, not to push wrestling forward, not to get more fans of wrestling, although you could argue they're trying to get Latino fans with the Stephanie Vaquer championship and the pushing of AAA and Latino wrestlers in storylines and stuff like that. Everybody's trying to get that money right now, including the Super Bowl. But this is getting crazy, dude. Corporate greed used to be in the shadows in the 90s, right? And it took guys like George Carlin to call it out because the rest of us were blind to it. And we'd go, oh, that George Carlin, he's crazy. Almost everything that son of a bitch said has come true, which is creepy. It's scary when sci-fi writers and stand-up comedians are prophets and predict the future, but it happens more often than you think. You can ask Philip K. Dick if you don't believe me. Google it. This is just a money grab, Jeff. And I want to throw something at you because I want to know your opinion on this. And then you guys can hit us up on our socials on Instagram if you think I'm crazy or if you think, hey, Freddie's been kind of prophetic with some of his business predictions and maybe he is Nostradamus. I don't think TKO is long for owning the WWE. I don't think this is going to be the owner for the next 20, 30, 40 plus years. I think TKO bought this quickly. I think they paid more than they wanted to. I think they want to make as much money as they can. And then I think they want to get the fuck out of bed with the wrestling business. And I think within the next 5 years, only 5 years, I think they're going to sell to the Saudis outright, not even have a piece in it. I genuinely think they're going to do that. And I don't think anybody else has predicted that. So remember where you heard it when this deal comes through. And we've been right on business stuff like this before. But I don't think TKO is into WWE at all. They are UFC people. UFC does not like WWE. I know that for a fact. I know people that work at UFC. Wrestling is not their jam. They thought it was weird when TKO bought WWE. So there's not a lot of love there, and there's not a lot of support there. And they're changing the business model rapidly as far as the payment of wrestlers and the employment of wrestlers. They're changing the pricing model drastically from where tickets were family priced to now they're these like elite fight packages. Like if you're going to Madison Square Garden, although they used to pay people to go because the Knicks sucked, but like for boxing fights and stuff like that, this is getting ridiculous. And I think they want to get out of the business. I think that's why they jacked up the prices, first of all, is to try to make as much money as they can and make it as valuable as they can. And then I think they're going to try to sell it to the Saudis, man. What do you think of my crazy prediction?
I got nothing on your prediction except that I hope you're wrong.
Me too, by the way.
I would be so annoyed with that. But here's the thing. Some people think, you've heard the famous line from that movie that greed is good, right? Everyone,
yeah. Gordon Gekko.
And then some people think it's bad to be greedy. So those are the two camps. But one thing I will say is that greed is definitely contagious, because what happens is once, these prices are so expensive, and once these things, and then all the fans start complaining, oh man, look how expensive it would be to be ringside when I would never pay for a ringside seat anyways. Or it's so expensive to pay for ESPN every month. Everyone's all these things. Guess what? The second that starts to become a thing, now we know they have money, right? I've even heard you say that. They got the money. I've heard you say that, Freddie. They got the money. They got the money. They should pay these wrestlers. Well, now the wrestlers start getting greedy. Well, hey, you're making all this money, you got to pay me. And then you've got a whole locker room of 900 talented men and women who are like, well, show me the money or I'll go to AEW. And then AEW is like, well, we need to start raising our ticket prices. We need to start doing monthly pay-per-views and all this stuff. It's just this contagiousness of greed. So it's just how corporations work. It's how business works. Things just get outrageous until they can't anymore, and then they sell to the Saudis or whatever the heck is going to happen. So I'm not sure if it's where this is headed. I'm not sure how it's going to end, whether it be well or good. But if you want these wrestlers to get paid, and you want Roman Reigns to be treated like the LeBron James of wrestling, that money's got to come from somewhere. And so these guys like at TKO and WWE, they've got to they screw us to pay these wrestlers,
The one thing I would push back on is I think the money's already there to pay the wrestlers, and I have said that before. These prices are to solidify bonuses, to justify 10, 20, 30, 40, yes, $50 million bonuses. No executive of a product should be making that much money. No executive of a Brad Pitt movie should be making more than Brad Pitt. Nobody's going there to see the movie because Warner Brothers produced it or because Sony produced it. They're going there because Brad Pitt's a fucking stud and they love him and they love those movies. Nobody went to Tom Cruise because Paramount's so cool. Nobody saw Top Gun because of that. They were like, oh shit, Tom Cruise made another Top Gun movie. They don't care who made it. They just care who's in it and who directed it. That's what people care about. And then to a certain degree, deeper down the line, who wrote it? They go, oh, I like that writer. But no one's ever said, oh man, that executive makes some good movies. Like nobody's ever said that. And it's the same in wrestling and it's the same in UFC. Their pay model in UFC is to pay these guys, except the top dudes, the bare minimum that you can pay. That's why they do those $50,000 bonuses, because the show money is like 30 and 30 or something like that. It's not 30 grand and 30 grand, by the way. That's not good. And I think they're trying to do a similar thing to the wrestlers now by offering them less money than what they were making. It's not like the wrestlers are saying, hey, we want a share of the profits and this kind of stuff. They're saying, no, we don't want the prices to go, our salaries to go down. Why are you cutting salary when you're making more money? That's crazy. We're the reason you're making more money. Pay us what we feel we are worth. And then we can argue who's worth what as long as you want. But that's where I feel they're coming from. But yeah, that's the only thing I would push back on is I don't think they're raising prices to justify the cost of their employees. I think they're raising prices to justify the cost of the bonuses that they want to make so they can buy that third and fourth and fifth home, so they can, get that 1 out of 6 car that's only none of them are in America. And now
where do you get that though? Like, what makes you think that the money's going to the executives? Like, what makes you think that?
Well, in Hollywood, that's how it works now. Once the corporations came in, like at Warner Brothers, they had an executive who was literally making $50 million bonuses as a bonus. Now, the stockholders found out about that, got pissed off, and reduced it drastically. But that's money he was making, $50 million. And I just can't imagine anybody seeing a Warner Brothers movie because of him.
Yeah,
and this is, you know what I mean? This is the same executive that canceled the Batwoman or Batgirl movie, whatever they were going to call it, and took an insurance gain on it. So, these are the reason I say corporations are all the same is because every executive I've met, minus, I'm trying to be nice here. No, every executive I've met has basically been the same, and they're in it for the money. They're not in it for the work. They're not in it for the art. They're in it for the influence, the fame, the cars, the chicks, the houses. And it's always been that way. And I've met a lot of executives. I know heads of networks. I know heads of studios. I've met them and they're all pretty much the same dude. The chicks are all pretty much the same dude. Like they're all it's a certain kind of mentality, right? Like certain people can be a comedian. you have to be funny. It takes a certain person to be a great lawyer. You have to be willing to lie. You have to be willing to be creative and create a story. A certain person can be a singer. You have to be able to sing. Like, certain people are just built for certain jobs based on how they're raised, how they come up, what they see, what they aspire to be, what they dream of getting one day. And some people dream of nothing but cash. And that's the field you get in for cash. And that's fine if that's your dream. Like, I would say this, to quote something you said from another quote. I disagree that greed is good. I disagree with Gordon Gekko and Michael Douglas.
Me too.
I say ambition is good because ambition expands business, right? It challenges other ideas. It makes other people in the same field better because they have to improve because you came in and your ambition puts you over the top. Whereas greed, I think, is always bad. Once you're in it for that, I think it's always bad. We've spent a lot of time talking about this. I hope we're not boring you guys.
Bad. Money is good, but greed and doing anything to get that money is evil.
Yeah, if you're stepping on others to get yours, that's when I'm like, that's kind of gross, and you're just not talented enough to get it on your own. So you got to get it off the backs of other people, which sucks. Let's talk some wrestling, dude.
Heck yeah.
People are kind of bummed at WWE lately. Numbers aren't good on Netflix. We mentioned earlier that attendance is a little bit down. A lot of the criticism, and I get it. I don't think this is with every story. A lot of criticism is they're relying way too heavily on nostalgic returns, brand equity, and they're not pushing the new stars enough. Jeff, how do you feel about that? You think that's kind of the move they're in right now?
Yeah, I think with the the John Cena's last tour, last ride has made it attempts at nostalgia and attempts at those kind of things. So I totally agree with that. I'm enjoying the product though. I'm like surprisingly.
You and I are the only ones, I guess.
Yeah, I still like it. I feel like I'm all in. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've liked what's been going on with Io and her conflict, and now they have a match built up, and we'll get into predictions on the Thursday show, you guys, not on this one. I think they've laid off on some of, or they're trying to find the right Latino that they want to push, but they're still giving time to the Latinos to have their storylines. I think they're still being really broad and with a lot of these stories, and maybe that's what people aren't liking because broad isn't specific. It's the opposite of specific.
There's plenty of broads. Just watch NXT. You know what I mean?
There's two broads here. There's two. But yeah, so I get why people are getting frustrated and mad, and I guess maybe TV and movies are the same. Like, it goes in cycles. Like, it's good for a while, then it takes time to come up with another great idea, and so you kind of recycle some other stuff that's worked. I know, like, a lot of serial TV shows do that. A lot of movies do that because that's the note from executives. Like, movies don't work unless you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So maybe it's that. But I hear you guys. I'm more forgiving, and I offer a lot more latitude before I start getting hard on my criticism. But you're not wrong. All right, you're not wrong. I'm not saying you are, and I've seen it too. AEW has been doing better, I think, with story lately, and WWE had been dominating them with story before the last, say, 6 to 8 months. Let's recap Raw, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, we opened with Seth Rollins coming out, looking like he works in a Vegas showgirl show, as always.
By the way, he had like 6-inch heels on.
Yo, what was that, by the way? Those were bigger heels than Tiffany Stratton's on SmackDown, like, when she could barely walk up the steps. Yeah.
Because I've been pretty generous about not criticizing this dude's clothes. The shoulder pads and the frilly things and the Double J Jeff Jarrett female blouses, all fine. But the dude, he had full on like 6-inch heels. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, they were legit bigger than Tiffany Stratton's on SmackDown, and she could barely climb the steps with her heels on, which was hysterical. Yeah, we were texting when we were watching the show, and you were like, dude, what kind of shoes are, and I hadn't even seen him, and I looked, and was just like, Jesus Christ, my man's got some stilts.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, very Las Vegas, very showgirl. But that's kind of his thing, dude. He kind of does his thing and owns it. And it's like the male version of Charlotte Flair with the wardrobe, man. It's like he comes out and he peacocks around. Anyway, he came out. He talked about leadership. He talked about control. And he talked about the future of the WWE running through him. He said this before. So if you think they're recycling some stuff, maybe they are. They do have an analytic there that they follow pretty closely, which is fans watch about one episode per month. And so that's why they repeat their story so often before the pay-per-view, is because they believe in that analytic. The hardcore fans who are watching every week are like, dude, you just said this. And their answer would be, yeah, but a lot of people didn't see it. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. I'm just telling you what their philosophy is on that shit. So anyway, Rollins tells Cody that he was never his friend. Yeah, no shit. Duh. You wrestled him when his chest muscle was ripped off. That's not cool. And you lost, by the way, sucker. They talked about Crown Jewel, which will be in Australia this year. And again, we'll get into predictions. That's going to be the hardest match to predict for me out of all the matches at Crown Jewel, by the way. But he said this is less about belts, Jeff, and it's more about pride, leadership, and control. Have you ever had beef with a comic that was less about who was the best and more about pride, leadership, and control?
No, but this whole segment did remind me of a lot of comedy beefs, or like a lot of stand-up comedy situations or relationships. You know, you got to be in the same bit. I'm guessing it's all business. It's not just comedy or wrestling. But like, there's a guy you're trying to work it out with, you're bumping heads, and then you're like, maybe someday we can have mutual respect now, but maybe someday we can be buddies. I identified so much with the Cody Rhodes part of that segment. Yeah. And then like for Seth Rollins to just be like, we were never friends and we'll never be friends. I was trying to like, just, you almost think that's what the other person is thinking. Nobody would ever be that honest in real life and just say that to your face, but you like, that's what you fear that they're thinking. I don't know. The whole segment was great. I identified with that a lot.
That's cool. Yeah. For me, it was more about Cody being like the company guy. And I was praying that he didn't say it, or that he wasn't going to say it. And then he did, where he went to the audience and he's like, we don't have the control. You guys have the control. And I hate that, man. It's just one of those pet peeve things that I have where I'm like, man, I want them to be a part of the show too, but we do that too much now. We're giving credit too often. Save that for a promo after you win a big match. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I could hear you screaming. I could hear you chanting, and it gave me the energy to get up and finish this damn match. And I thank you for that.
Also, all the fans are going, we don't have control. What are you talking about? We've been chanting Karrion Kross. We've been chanting LA Knight. We had to chant CM Punk for 15 years to get him back. So, like, the fans are going, what do you mean we have control? Well, we don't have any. We can barely afford to sit here. What do you mean we have control? We watch because we like it, but we don't have any control.
So we've got them coming to Australia. For the impossible match for me to call. I might even abstain from that one. We'll see, even though that's a weak move. Next up, the man, the living legend, the Mysterio myth, Dominic Mysterio, the Intercontinental Champion versus Rusev. You thought Rusev was going to beat my guy? Is that what you thought, Jeff? Wrong.
No.
Wrong. As Charlie Murphy would say, rest in peace. Dominic does what he does, baby. He outsmarted that big dumb meathead, tricked him. The ref wasn't looking. You do what you got to do, man. No blood, no foul. Ref doesn't see it. Ref doesn't call it. It's not a foul. Got him a little bit low. Rolled him up. The ref was there, professional. Counted the 1, 2, 3. We commend the referee on fine work. We criticize the referees when they F up. I didn't see any F ups in this match, Jeff. All I saw was Studley Dominic Mysterio earn the respect of the WWE universe, and probably got a few more ladies to fall in love with him. What did you think?
Whoever choreographed this match did fantastic. Or whoever set it up.
This was match of the week, straight up.
Yeah, I don't know what the terms are for putting a match together, but whoever did this did a good job of making the ref look realistic. Like, the ref shouldn't be such a dope that you're like, how did he not just hear? You know, because sometimes a wrestler will get in the ring, like sneak in the ring, and the ref is completely like oblivious, looks like a dummy, like acting like he didn't see it. You're like, everyone can see it. Everyone's cheering. Also, the canvas is like shaking. You didn't notice that someone walked in. But like, this match was a good job of the referee going, I saw that. And like, he was noticing things. The low blow was perfectly secretive enough that like you wouldn't see it if you're refereeing a match. I thought it was very grounded in reality. So I liked that. Good job on that, making the refs look real.
I love that match. I had a ton of fun watching it. The next match was pretty good too, but it's not important. What's important is where it goes from here with AJ Styles. We had AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defeat Los Americanos. Styles clash for the win. You could see AJ's finisher, which is what you might see when he fights John Cena. Maybe, I don't know. Or John Cena might get the win. You'll get our prediction on Thursday's show. The Usos defeated the Vision in a tornado tag match. So tornado, they have more experience with that. So that kind of benefits the Usos. But they wouldn't have won if Roman Reigns hadn't returned, Jeff. He's back. He's helping the family. It tips the balance of the war with the Vision. Bronson and Reed still look like monsters, but Roman's presence has changed the landscape. Are we going to go to a War Games? Are we going to go to another War Games with the OTC, the Usos, and whoever else they can get versus these scumbags in the Vision? Just kidding. I like all the guys in the Vision. I call you guys scumbags because I'm supposed to, but I think you're really cool. But we got the return of Roman Reigns, and the crowd always gets happy when they hear his music, Jeff. How about you?
I'm happy Reigns is back. This is where these guys belong. You know, I've said this a billion times but to my buddies, but maybe it's time I say it here. I don't need all these wrestlers like just this. The second they get some success, they're like, I'll be a movie star now. Can I go be in Spider-Man? Can I go be in Street Fighter? Can I go be in a sitcom? Can I be? It's like, knock it off. Yeah. You're wrestlers. Your abandonment of your original craft so quickly is so it's gross to me. Like they'll have something, they'll be like, oh, I've always wanted to be an actor. You're like, well, be a wrestler. That's how we know you. Maybe you should have sat in Studio City in a crappy apartment and went to a bunch of auditions over and over if you wanted to be an actor. Don't use wrestling as your springboard to be an actor if that was your dream. What a cowardly way to get to your dream. I don't like that. I don't like that how fast they all want to become movie stars.
I agree with that springboard thing. I don't like when people use one thing to get to another and they don't take it seriously. I agree with that. But I like
to think that wrestling was their dream. I don't like to think that they were like, well, I wanted to be a movie star, and so I did wrestling for a decade. Like, that's dumb. I think Brock Lesnar, like, he just kind of found his way into wrestling. I think he wanted to be like a UFC guy, or just like he wanted to be like a big strong guy, and wrestling was a nice kind of like other place for that. But like, you didn't see Brock Lesnar immediately being like, how do I get on the Expendables? How do I get on these things? And leave wrestling every 4 months for some sort of project.
Well, what about if the opportunities are coming to you, you're not actively seeking the opportunities, and then the opportunity comes to you and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. I might like to try that. Because like, there's got to be room for secondary dreams, right? Yeah, but I don't think like Roman Reigns was seeking out Hollywood when he got in the wrestling business. I think he was like, yo, I'm a lifer. And some opportunities just came his way. Brock Lesnar had a secondary dream, fighting the UFC. So he left for a little while, did the UFC thing. You know, so there's room for secondary dreams, I think, if the opportunity comes your way. But like you said, if you're using it and you never planned on being in it in the first place, you just using it to get to Hollywood, then that does seem a little ugh.
I think I'm just being selfish if I'm honest, because I totally understand that if you were in wrestling and having some success and then all of a sudden they're like, would you like to be in this movie? That's a very exciting opportunity. But it is annoying to me that we'll lose, Lexi for, what's that girl's name? No, Liv Morgan. We'll lose Liv Morgan for like a month and a half, and all everyone's talking about is like, she's going to be in a movie. She's going to be in a movie. It's like, I don't care. Put her in wrestling. I want to see that.
What if you were sick at baseball and the Dodgers or the Mariners were like, Jeff, we know you're doing this comedy thing, but we'd like to invite you to spring training, and we're taking this seriously, and you've got a great shot to make the team, but you have to travel with the team. You can't do comedy. Now, that's an opportunity that came to you because you can hit dingers. Then what do you do?
So absurd that I can't like it's wild. But also just so like 1 in 9 billion. Like I can't even come up with a number that would be a possibility. However, of course I would do it, but I would expect people to hate me and go, what is this bozo doing out there? I would expect people like Jeff Dye to talk trash about me on a podcast.
Yeah, man. When I did that baseball movie back in the day, I had like fantasies and dreams of like, mate, what if like a scout heard that I was throwing really hard and like came to check it out? That would be pretty sick. Granted, I was not throwing hard enough for anyone to come look, but harder than Charlie Sheen, baby. Tapped out at 86, baby. His pitch was 84 in Major League.
86?
Yeah, I got up to 86 miles an hour on the gun, bro. But I was young still. I was in my 20s, baby.
I don't care. That's really hard to do.
Throwing fire, baby.
Like, really hard to do.
Yeah, man. That's what this guy, his name was Mike Roboto, and he was in the Mets minor league system as a catcher. And he was like, dude, you're throwing hard as fuck. And I was like, really? How hard do you think I'm throwing? He goes, we're getting the gun. And they measured me at 84, 86, and 82, wild. Something like that. Yeah, I threw 3 on the gun. Hard. Your boy can throw hard. I threw really hard to Ken Griffey Jr., and he fucking hit it out of the fucking ballpark.
Yeah, well, that part checks out for sure. Griffin.
And they asked him to hit it to a specific part of the field. They said, hey, Junior, they called him. They said, Junior, do you think you could hit it over the Welcome to Synergy field sign? This was back when they played at Synergy. And he goes, oh, yeah, no problem. And I'm standing right there. And I was like, dude, take it easy, man. I was just saying no problem like that. So the first pitch I threw him, instead of gas, which I was supposed to throw, I threw a changeup. He just didn't even look at it. He just let it drop and was like, nah, dude, I'm not falling for your bullshit. And so then I threw my hardest pitch that I could throw. I don't know how hard it was. Probably about like 82 because I hadn't pitched in a while. We shot this part of the movie like a couple months later during the real baseball season. And he fucking hit this ball so hard. It was out of the park before my head could whip around to look where it went. And you can see it in the movie. Like when he hits it, it literally is on camera for a millisecond. And it's just crack, boom, gone. And then we look and someone threw a ball over the Synergy field sign so it'd go a little slower and you could actually see it. But he hit it in the perfect fucking spot, man. That's how good Ken Griffey Jr. was and how shitty I was at baseball. Sorry for the side quest there. We had some Friday Night SmackDown. I'm not going to lie, Jeff. Not my favorite episode ever. Wasn't loving the storytelling that much. Paul Heyman interrupted Cody Rhodes. Tried to put a little seed of doubt with him and his bro, Randy Orton. But it all just seemed a little clunky to me, like when you watch a scene that's just not edited correctly. Like everyone's doing a good job, but the edits are weird. You're like, why is it on this guy's face when this guy's talking? And why is it on this guy's face when he's talking? It just felt a little wonky to me. So I wasn't that into it. And then the matches were sort of like tag team, tag team, tag team. And it wasn't a really hot show until Sami Zayn, baby. Sami Zayn, the blue-collar American, even though he's Canadian. French-Canadian, that is. He wrestled Aleister Black, and it was supposed to be him. It was supposed to be my man, what's his face?
Carmelo
Hayes. Thank you, sir. Carmelo Hayes. And then Aleister Black comes and steps over him the way Allen Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue in the fucking finals. Yeah. Just mad disrespect. And he's like, yo, I'll wrestle you. Don't even trip. And Sami Zayn's like, let's get it on. And they had a great match. The end, Priest came in, and so then it got a little wild and messy. But you can see kind of where this feud is going. Let me say something now that I mentioned Priest. Have you noticed this too, or is it just me? When he was on Monday Night Raw, whoever was writing for him was doing a pretty good job. And I thought Damian Priest was getting over fairly well with all the Judgment Day stuff and all that when he got kicked out to Judgment Day. Since he's been on SmackDown, I haven't really connected to a single promo that he's cut backstage or in ring. It's been weird, dude. It's like he feels buried. And he's not. He's getting segments. They're just not. I don't think they're powerful enough. And I think he's good enough to pull good shit off, man. I don't know what's going on over there.
I feel like SmackDown in general is the B show. You know, it's very like secondary. Might be because it's on Friday night or like I don't know why or what.
No,
but
you're probably right.
It is a tough. It's a tough watch. It feels like an afterthought compared to Raw or any of the PLEs. You know,
I totally agree with that.
Very clunky. It has moments, you know, but for the most part, you're just like, what are they doing? Aleister Black looked good, and I love what Sami Zayn's doing with this open invitation for anyone to come out and wrestle him for the belt, and that's continuously been good and a great way to give other wrestlers who maybe don't have as much eyes on them a match, like a big match.
Totally. That's exactly what it's for.
It's helping Sami Zayn. It's helping the belt. It's helping guys who aren't getting eyes get like a match like the couple weeks ago, the dude from NXT that came up and had a great match against Sami Zayn. That was huge for him. The guy from Greensboro, North Carolina. But the reason I'm saying this is now I'm in my wrestling mind going, well, how are they going to creatively lose this match to Sami Zayn? Because, you know that nobody's going to beat him. So it's just kind of going, all right, well, how is Aleister Black's dominating this match? How are they going to have him lose? So it's almost like a scramble to see how the finish is going to be.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. All right, you guys. It's AEW time. Time for some AEW. Because it was the 6th anniversary. Now, throughout the night, AEW played some highlights of the last 6 years. Wasn't my favorite highlight package, but they did a pretty good job. They've done better, though. They've had some incredible moments in just 6 short years. It's also important to note how pivotal, or how important, rather, it is to have more than one major promotion in professional wrestling. It means more jobs, more money, not just for the wrestlers, but for all the behind the scenes people, the camera people, the grips, the electricians, the ring builders, like all these people. This is their job. It's this, or they're, working on a concert for Taylor Swift and trying to put her in a box so nobody can see her get to stage. Who cares? Just let her walk the stage. I never understood. We're going to hide her in a box and sneak her over to the stage. Like, let her just walk like Bruce Springsteen used to do. Like, who cares, man? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Just walk. Anyway, I digress. So 6 years. Jeff, do you have a couple favorite moments from the last 6 years of AEW? Mine's when Danielson won the championship and when CM Punk debuted. Those would be my 2 favorite. What about you?
I don't have any specific moments, but when I when I read this question, I thought of just how many times MJF has impressed me. The many chapters of MJF. He didn't change his character. He didn't change his wrestling sensibilities, but there's been so many different things he's done. Whether he's best friends with Adam Cole or whether he's feuding with CM Punk and it's just this promo off, just like promo to promo each week was amazing. I'm just so impressed with MJF, and anytime I think of AEW, my mind immediately goes to him.
Yeah, dude, he just did that tables and tacks match, which is bloody and gruesome and gross. And this is the same dude that got the fucking kangaroo kick over. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the same dude that was doing comedy wrestling just a few months ago, maybe a year ago with Adam Cole, where he was like, I'm going to dive out of the ring. No, I'm scared. No, you can do it. No, I'm too scared. Like he went from doing full comedy wrestling, a kangaroo kick where he poses like a freaking kangaroo, to one of the bloodiest, goriest matches you can do, and everything in between, dude. MJF's the man. He should have been
dynamic for sure.
Yeah, that should have been all of my favorite moments were MJF moments. I loved when he came out in white with CM Punk, and I was like, oh, someone's about to bleed. Someone's about to bleed. And then they bled all over the place. All right, here we go. What? I'm into blood now. I can't help it. Hangman Page, Samoa Joe, and Hobbs. And when he came on the TV, I was cooking dinner, and my wife goes, holy shit, who's that? I was like, that's Will Powerhouse Hobbs, baby. She was like, yo, that guy's big. She likes all the buff dudes. So it was Hobbs, Samoa Joe, and Hangman Page versus the Death Riders, which this time consisted of Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Daniel Garcia. Ryan Garcia is the boxer, Freddie. You're still screwing that up, you unprofessional son of a bitch. Anyway, the good guys won the match, as they should. Claudio took the pin because he's a gentleman, and he knew that would protect Daniel, who's new to the group, and keep him looking like a wild card, and protect Moxley. What a kind man taking the fall for the team like that. It was a big win, but that was not the story, sir. The story is leading up for Wrestle Dream. Wrestle Dream. Samoa Joe turned on Adam Page, and he said, yo, man, you might have beat all these other suckers, but you've never beaten me. And I'm going to be the champ again. I'm going to be the champ. I'm big-ass Samoa Joe. And the crowd's going to scream, Joe, Joe, Joe. It's the only song that I know all the lyrics to in professional wrestling. And then they're going to sing, Joe is going to kill you. I love the crowd when Samoa Joe's out there because they love Samoa Joe. I love Samoa Joe in general. I'm glad that he's healthy in wrestling, and I'm excited to see these dudes match. And Adam Hangman Page has been growing on me, dude. He really has. He had that promo in Mexico where he spoke all in Spanish, and he wasn't able to do that, like that yelling thing, right? Like his go-to is I'm going to start yelling and showing you that I'm passionate about wrestling. And that works, but it only works on a couple of lines, right? If you keep that going too long, then you have to sort of break that up or it becomes monotonous. When he was speaking Spanish, he couldn't think to do that because he's thinking about the translation, and he came off so vulnerable and honest and open and cool. And some of that has stuck with him since that promo, and I find him a lot calmer in a lot of these, and he's saving that passion, like in the Kyle Fletcher drama, he's saving that passion for certain specific moments where he's like, no, normally he'd be like, I see a lot of me in you from that, and then he's like, I see a lot of myself in you, but what you need to understand is that you don't have what, and then he's going in on him, and I think that's super smart, and I like seeing these guys grow. I like seeing their talent grow. This guy's been a wrestler for a long time, so you can teach an old dog new tricks, and I think this one kind of happened organically for him. I'm excited to see the match, dude. What about you?
Yeah, I think less is more with that kind of stuff. I think you nailed it. Like Jake the Snake never like raised his voice in a promo. He was calm. It had this like this like it's just people's different acting styles, I guess. Mm-hmm. But like if you want it to seem realistic, you've got to make it seem like, I don't know, like the way you would talk. Dominic Mysterio's really natural when he does his stuff. He's never raising his voice or doing a shtick. And some wrestlers can pull that off, like Paulie Heyman is so big,
Bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, but like he pulls it off. But like for some people, like you gotta find where your zone is to make it more realistic.
That's dead on, dude. It took me a long time to figure them out. Like I look back at like my older work and go, man, I wish I could have been more vulnerable. I wish that would have looked more honest. And I was in my 40s when I figured it out, and I'm still figuring it out now.
It's a pace. It's like a rhythm. It's a pause. Sometimes it's a volume. There's a lot of little ways to dial it in. I 100% agree with what you said about Hangman Adam Page about like, the shouting came off like nervous almost, but like
totally. I totally agree.
And that's not as convincing, but you need so anyways, I love what he's doing now, and I think he's sky's the limit for him. He's my favorite.
Kenny Omega made his return. Him and Brodito defeated Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks. Those poor Young Bucks, man. They have it tough. They gambled all their money away. So now all that cash is gone. I felt so bad. And you knew it was going to happen. I would have liked to have seen in that package that they shot some of the losses so that it would help tell that story a little bit better when he's just standing there at the end with the empty bag. If I'd have shot that, that's how I would have done it. But I still thought it was really funny, and I think they're doing a good job with their characters right now and helping them grow, going from scumbags to like humbled. Anyway, that's not the story. After the match, guess who returned? Not to be a nice guy, not to welcome Kenny Omega back, but to hit him with his finisher. And that was freaking Andrade I was going to say El Clone, but he's El Idolo. El Clone is also in the Don Callis family now, but we'll talk about that later. Or maybe we won't. But Andrade's back. He took the mask off. He's got the long hair. He's got the body. He beat him up. And the most important part is he joined the Don Callis family and has Don Callis speaking for him now. This is what Andrade has needed since day one. Day one in WWE. He needed a manager. He had one. Zelina Vega. She crushed it. They took her away from him. All of a sudden, he wasn't able to communicate story except inside the ring stories. His English wasn't strong enough to be able to get his shit over it. And for whatever reason, they wouldn't do subtitles and let him speak Spanish. Having Don Callis in your corner is like having Teddy Atlas in the 90s in your corner if you're a boxing fan. It's like having Mick, if you're a movie fan, from Rocky, saying this little angel on your shoulder. And anytime you go down, he's going to say, "Get up, you son of a bitch," because Mickey loves you. That's Don Callis. Only he's going to talk for Andrade. He's going to put Andrade over big time every single week. And this will be the chance for him to get over, finally, in between his WWE and AEW runs. I think it could work, dude. What'd you think?
I don't have many thoughts on any of this. Andrade being back in AEW, I'm puzzled. He was what, 2 weeks ago? He was in WWE.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. Also, I just don't know what they're going to do with this. I think you said it, or maybe I'm just reading it, but maybe both. But like, the Callis family is growing like the NWO. That's a dangerous idea. The NWO was one of the greatest things that ever happened in wrestling, but it just grew too much. It was not exclusive to be in the NWO. It was after a while, everyone was in the NWO. You're like Lex Luger, the company guy, is in the NWO. You know, like if you had everybody like in there, so much so that it became like, well, now there's the red NWO, and now there's the white NWO, and then there's the original Wolfpack NWO. There was so many different little factions of the faction that it became very confusing. So the Callis family, it's, you know, I hope that it succeeds more than the Chris Jericho group that they made. You know, it feels similar.
Appreciation Society.
Yeah, it feels kind of like that in my opinion. But I'm here for it. I'm watching still, so we'll see what happens.
Finally, we had Kyle Fletcher and Orange Cassidy. We got another member to the Callis family, El Clone, the fake hologram, and he effed up the finish. Not like screwed it up, but he effed it up for Orange Cassidy. And Kyle Fletcher got the win on what was a pretty good match until the end. So, to wrap up, you guys got a long show today. You guys are usually like, man, it's 30 minutes of commercials, 2 minutes of action. Well, this time you got like 40 minutes of commercials and 1 minute of action. Oh, in your face. So anyway, Monday Night Raw gave us Roman Reigns' return. Cody versus Rollins is starting to boil over. SmackDown teased a little Cody and Orton implosion via Paul Heyman. And we had 6 years of Dynamite. We end up with Paige versus Joe, Omega versus the Callis family, and some more TNT title shenanigans. They're loading up for Wrestle Dream, which we will predict next week. And wrestling, you know, it wasn't the best week in wrestling, but we still love it. That's it for Wrestling with Freddie. Don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify. You can leave us a review, hit the comments on our Instagram page, and sometimes if they're really good, even if they're mean, they might get read on the air. On behalf of Jeff Dye, tune in to us tomorrow, Thursday, or whenever you turn in for our unsanctioned show. We're going to do predictions on Crown Jewel. On behalf of Jeff Dye, I'm Freddie Prinze. Peace.